So we're running a few minutes late, and I apologize for that, but we had a closed session, and we also interviewed for the Parks and Recreation Committee, so that made us run late. And so thank you for waiting for us. And I don't know if we're ready to start or not.
Yep, we're good.
We're good? Okay. So we just came out of a closed session. We had 6 items on our agenda, and there is nothing to report out, so thank you. So the land, let me just put that down. The land acknowledgement. The City of Arcata acknowledges the lands we are located on are the unceded ancestral lands of the Wiyot people. The land that Arcata rests on is known as in the Wiyot language as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. Past actions by local and state federal governments removed the Wiyots and other indigenous people from the land and threatened to destroy their cultural practices. The City of Arcata acknowledges the Wiyot community, their elders, both past and present, and as well as future generations. This acknowledgement seeks to aid in dismantling the legacy's narrative of settler colonialism. Also, I wanted to mention that up in the Gudini Gallery up at Cal Poly Humboldt, they have a wonderful display that deals with reclaiming the river that was just undammed on the Klamath. So if you want to see that, I would suggest you check it out and go and check it, see what's going on there, because I understand it's a beautiful display. So with that, please rise if you'd like to do the flag salute. Thank you. May we please have roll call?
Mayor Stillman.
Present.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Councilmember Atkins-Salazar.
Here.
Councilmember Matthews.
Here.
Vice Mayor White is absent, but we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move on to ceremonial matters. The first item on the agenda is proclamation and recognition of World Tai Chi Day, Saturday, April 16th, 2025. And I believe Councilmember Schaefer is going to read that. Oh, well, I don't know who got what, so thank you.
We sorted it, it's okay. Thank you. So whereas World Tai Chi Day is now celebrated in hundreds of cities in over 80 nations annually, and whereas Tai Chi has been called medication in motion by Harvard Health publication for the myriad of health benefits it offers, and whereas numerous studies have pointed to the benefits of Tai Chi for stress relief, improved balance and coordination among the elderly, as well as improved behavior for adolescents with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And whereas World Tai Chi Day is meant to bring the community together to learn more about this gentle exercise, a series of mindful, relaxed movements that people of all ages and fitness levels can practice to improve health by boosting the immune system, increasing vitality, longevity, and well-being. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Council of the City of Arcata hereby recognizes World Tai Chi Day in the City of Arcata, Arcata Plaza at 10 a.m. on Saturday, April 26, 2025, and encourages all residents to attend and to visit worldtaichiday.org to learn more. And it's signed today by our mayor, Alex Stillman. Sorry, we have Glenda Hesseltine here to accept.
I just want to say thank you for putting your support behind our Tai Chi Day, and that it has pretty deep, solemn purpose to it, but actually we're getting together on that Saturday just to get together, just to have fun, and that's our superpower these days, is to offset some of the heaviness of the world we're living in with joy. So joy through movement, and come down and move with us if you can, and thank you again.
And thank you very much. Our next proclamation is in recognition of National Volunteer Week, which is April 14th through the 20th, 2025. That'll be read by Councilmember Schaefer.
Okay. In recognition of National Volunteer Week, April 14th through 20th, 2025. Whereas one of Arcata's greatest resources is its volunteers and the countless hours they devote towards the beautification of Arcata's neighborhoods, parks, and public recreation areas. And whereas it has long been a tradition in our community for volunteers to perform work of the highest quality and to brighten the lives of others, it is fitting to recognize our volunteers when the nation is observing National Volunteer Week, when we inspire by example. And whereas volunteers give freely of their time, energy, and ability and ask only for a smile and a thank you for the devotion of hours of service, and whereas volunteers contribute through a multitude of ways, whether it be serving on one of our city's committees, boards, or commissions, by helping educate the public through leading interpretive and educational tours at the Arcata Marsh and Wildlife Sanctuary, through improving the life of a child through Arcata recreation programs and activities, or by growing, harvesting, and providing organic vegetables, fruits, and flowers to the community at the Bayside Park Farm. And whereas volunteers serve the community as members of our Arcata Police Department Volunteer Patrol, by providing presence on designated trails, reporting observations, performing litter collection, and participating in maintenance workdays as volunteer trail stewards, and by providing advocacy and services to the homeless and food insecure with compassion through Arcata House Partnership. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Arcata recognizes the week of April 14th through April 20th, 2025 as National Volunteer Week, and encourages all citizens to acknowledge the important work done by volunteers in strengthening our community and thank them for their dedicated, selfless, and compassionate efforts. It's dated today, April 16th, and signed by our Mayor, Alexandra Stillman, and we have one of our volunteer trail stewards, gosh, I can't say that phrase for some reason, volunteer trail stewards, Reese Hughes, here to accept.
Well, I feel a little guilty because I'm really representing just the volunteer trail stewards, not all volunteers. However, I will say that I really understand the importance of volunteering, and it seems like a week is insufficient. It should be a volunteer year. For the last 12 and a half years, and it started here in this very office, this very space, the volunteer trail stewards first met here to start the Arcata site location. And since that time, hundreds of volunteers have come on a regular basis for the last 12 and a half years to work building trails in the Sunnybrae Forest, to do maintenance in the Arcata Forest, to build trails and support in Carlson Park. This coming a week from this Saturday, we'll be in Shea Park working on the trails, and we're always in the marsh and on the Bay Trail North. So it feels like it's a wonderful way to give back to things that we love, to make this a better place to live, to be a part of this community, and to feel like we have an ownership for the community. And I think that's what I see in terms of the volunteers who come and who participate and who give back. So the one thing I would add is that smiles are great, but we love food, and that's one of the things that seems to sustain volunteers. So, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you for an outstanding job that you've done, too. Sorry. Our next proclamation is the proclamation and recognition of the Bike Month. It's May 25th, May 2025, and Councilmember Matthews will read that.
Did you want to say something first? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I just wanted to say, when you mentioned the Shea Park, I love the new clearing out of the creek and the trails and the little bridges. It's amazing. So, to all who participated, thank you.
And she'll bring food.
And now on to Bike Month, May 2025. Whereas, whether you're bicycling to make essential trips to work, school, or shopping, or for fitness or recreation, you are part of the movement for safer streets, connected communities, a healthier planet, and happier commuters. And whereas bicycling addresses the global problems of climate change, car dependence, and air and noise pollution. It reduces traffic, parking congestion and noise, and increases physical activity and public health, such that investments in active transportation make communities healthier, more vibrant, and more family-friendly. And whereas in 2016, the city of Arcata was deemed a bronze-level bike-friendly community by the League of American Bicyclists, and in 2019 earned the silver level. The city is committed to providing safe, accessible, and equitable bike transportation facilities to our community to reach the gold and platinum level. And whereas the city of Arcata has adopted a complete streets policy and goals to advance a bicycle-friendly, active transportation network throughout town, investing in active infrastructure such as the Humboldt Bay Trail, Arcata Annie and Mary Trail, and designated bike lanes, as well as Arcata's Bike Share Program and Kids Bike Rodeo. And whereas the month of May is National Bike Month, May 7th, 2025 is Bike and Roll to School Day, and May 12th through 18th, 2025 is Bike to Work Week. And whereas the city and the Humboldt Bike Month Coalition, bikemonthhumboldt.org, encourage residents and visitors to participate in various Bike Month activities in May to share community support for bicycling. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the City Council of the City of Arcata that May 2025 is Bike Month throughout Arcata. The Council encourages everyone to participate in Bike Month activities, encourages the installation of bicycle parking and other facilities to support Arcata's growing number of bicyclists, and encourages people to bicycle as a means of transportation this and every month. Dated April 16th, 2025, signed by Alex Stillman, Mayor. And this is going to be accepted by Colin Fisk of the Coalition for Responsible Transportation Priorities.
So first of all, thank you for continuing this tradition of honoring Bike Month every year. I think it's a nice tradition. We get to really focus on bikes and the super cool technology that they are. The other thing I wanted to say is just reflect for a minute that I think when we talk about bicyclists, often people get a certain image in their head. Maybe you're thinking of like a spandex-clad road warrior or like a hipster on a fixie or something, which is cool. But when we talk about bikes, we're really talking about the full range of pedal-powered mobility devices, everything from e-bikes to tricycles to recumbent bikes and hand-powered adaptive bicycles and a whole range of other things. And when we talk about bicyclists, we're talking about people of all ages and abilities, and really anybody who wants to get on one of those devices and go somewhere. So I hope we're thinking about all of that as we promote bicycling this month and every month. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, appreciate is when we have our committees come and talk to us about what they've been doing. And so this evening we have the annual report from the Wetlands and Creeks Committee. And so please come forward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Justin Hawkins. I'm the chair of the Wetlands and Creeks Committee. You have all received the annual report, but I'm here just to provide some highlights and give some insight on what we do there. I think some of the things I'm most proud of are our work on the Measure A ad hoc committee meeting. We've been able to provide support and guidance for funds, and so far, actually just Friday, Morgan Sefcik just informed me, we were able to install a data logger in Jolly Giant Creek, just downstream of Shea Park. This is going to help facilitate efforts in the Jolly Giant Rehabilitation Restoration Grant we've been pursuing as well. Along with the data logger with Measure A funds, we were also able to help fund a part-time groundskeeper at the marsh, as well as provide funding for a biological survey by Cal Poly students who are able to identify coho salmon swimming in our backyard. And then we've also provided some feedback and guidance on a variety of projects, including the Jacoby Creek Enhancement Project and invasive species removal for Sunny Brae Park. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can see if the council members have any questions or comments they would like to make. Well, Okay, well, let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
So up on 11th Street, and I think it's B, we have I think it's Campbell Creek. Have you been dealing with that at your committee? It's sort of dropping off the roadway is dropping off.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Actually, I used to live on Campbell Creek. We have not been approached, and that has not come up in committee meeting. Although I'm familiar with what you're talking about. Been down in that culvert. It's old. Yeah, I definitely need some help over there.
Okay, I just thought I would ask because
Sure.
I see it often and people are asking, what's going to happen? And so far, I haven't heard anything, so I just wondered if you had. But I really appreciate your service and all the committee members' service, and we really appreciate you all. And thank you so much for coming this evening.
Likewise. Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is, staff reports. All reports shall be specifically limited to the city business and shall not request or lead to action by council or at this meeting. And the next item is oral and written communications. It's a time limited. Oh, staff report. Okay, staff reports. The way I read it is nothing. Okay, go. But don't you want to speak during oral and written communications?
Alec, yeah, I don't have anything to report with staff reports, so we can move to the next item.
So I'll move on to written and oral communications, which is a time limited to 2 minutes. If you're interested in 3 minutes, you should wait till the latter part of the meeting and speak. Meanwhile, I'm sure you're ready, so we'll let you go.
Okay, thank you. My name's Joanne McGarry. I come all the time. I speak usually at the end, but I'm speaking once again at the beginning because I'm going off to a movie at the Minor presented by Shine a Light on Palestine. It's the Academy Award-winning film, No Other Land. But I want to talk about 3 things, and one is Earth Day is coming up next week, and it would really be nice for the city of Arcata, who's supposedly known for being environmentally aware and climate active, and the climate action plan's coming, to really consider doing something significant about Earth Day and how we can remember it. And just a reminder, the climate action plan for the whole region is coming out, so please be aware of what we as a community can do. I suggested a few symbolic things like moving this Earth flag down here for the public podium, but other things we can do. I just acquired an e-bike, so listening to the Bike Month thing. I have a tricycle as well. I take public transit. I walk, and the e-bike is allowing me to see a lot of things differently than on foot. And so I have a lot of things to share with you later about all that. My final thing that I want to say is I keep wanting to promote that Arcata, the city of Arcata, kind of create a sensation of who we are, who we want to be. And I've asked us to consider joining the International Cities for Peace, the Nonviolent City Project, and the Charter for Compassion. At this moment in our history, in our time in the world, being peaceful, nonviolent, compassionate community would be really important for us to broadcast and join these international groups so that we can be strong in our peacefulness, our nonviolence, and our compassion. Here's my moral compass. I'm taking it to the event on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Yeah, you're next. I wasn't sure you were around.
I need to go somewhere. So anyway, my name's Bill Ryder, and tonight I would like to talk about the We the People Amendment, which is, if approved by both houses of Congress, will overrule the Supreme Court and make clear that constitutional rights belong to human beings only, not corporations. I want to thank Council Member Stacey Atkins Salazar for supporting me in this endeavor. Move to Amend, the national organization whose purpose it is to promote this amendment, has local affiliates all over the country. And we are restarting an affiliate here in Arcata at this moment. At the moment, the We the People Amendment has already garnered 51 representatives as co-sponsors in the 119th U.S. Congress. And we are lucky that our representative, Jared Huffman, is one of those co-sponsors. But it is important to raise the level of awareness of corporate personhood in every town and city in the United States. In the coming months, our affiliate will be presenting the amendment to the Arcata City Council and asking you to make a resolution in support of it. We would also like to propose installing an annual or biannual event entitled Democracy Day. The rights given to us in the amendments to the U.S. Constitution are for natural-born persons, not for corporations. For over 200 years, the Supreme Court has made decisions in favor of corporations who have claimed these rights for themselves. Then the Citizens United decision of 2010 opened the floodgates and political spending by corporations, and we are where we are today because of it. Democracy means a government by the people and for the people. If corporations have the rights of people, there is no way we can have a democracy. I look forward to working with the City of Arcata City Council to make a resolution in support of this amendment. Thank you for your time.
And thank you very much.
I have pamphlets if anybody wants them.
Would you like to put
just
them
put 'em
up
right
here
there,
on the
yes.
table?
Thanks.
And then people can pick them up. And we can also, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. So I'm here to request that you guys consider the motion to create a sister city between Arcata and Gaza City. We've actually reached out to Gaza City Municipality. They are very enthusiastic about the idea. They very much want to do this project. They have already proposed a few ideas on how we could collaborate, and we actually already produced an event for children, 3-day event with them in Gaza City. And we have some pictures I hope you guys can take a look at from that event. And they want us to raise money for 22 days of water distribution within Gaza City. They identified this as an urgent priority with the water situation there, and there's over, that would serve over 185,000 people, they estimate. So these are things that we can actually do, and you know, if we became a sister city, we could do even more. But I just want to point out that it feels good to help people. It makes us better as people morally, and you know, and if we see a friend who is got a small frown on their face and we smile at them, we can turn that frown upside down, and that feels good. But that's a small opportunity. And the bigger the negative, the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity we have to be great, to bring something great, and to really feel good about what we have accomplished. And so I urge you to really consider supporting a sister city with Palestine, with Gaza City. And I also want to personally invite you guys to come to our variety show that we have on the 24th of April. That's a Thursday, 7:30 at the Presbyterian Church. We got performers, we got break dancers, circus performers, other people performing, and it's a fundraiser as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak this evening during the 2 minutes? Please move forward. Would you please come forward? If there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak tonight, would they like to come and line up along the wall, please? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. What a wonderful place we live in, and it was great to hear the people speaking about the trails and the wetlands. We're so fortunate here. And it's my hope that we help spread this fortune outside of Arcata. And I want to, for the second time I've been here, just to voice my support of the Sister City proposition. And I hope Arcata will continue to consider that. I think there's a great need in Gaza City, and if we can help with support and resources, I really would like to see that happen. So thank you, and thank you for all your great work. Like I say, we're so fortunate to live here in Arcata, and I hope we can take it outside of Arcata. Thank you.
And thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak this evening? Well, not seeing anyone. I assume no one. Oh, is there anyone online?
Yes, we have several hands raised online.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, please go ahead.
Yes, hello. Hey, I'm Dan Shaheen. I want to thank the City Council for this opportunity to speak in favor of the Arcata all humanitarian aid has been shut off to Gaza as of yesterday. Donald Trump took the baton of neglect that Joe Biden handed him, and he's running with it. Know that anybody who supports the state of Israel is directly supporting the agenda of Donald Trump, who wants to ethnically cleanse Gaza of its indigenous people. Imagine, even if we can't get a drop of aid or money to Gaza, the knowledge that someone cares about the children that are starving and dying of disease, that someone gives a damn enough to send some love their way, which is in desperate need. More than anything, they need empathy and love, which is something that seems to be in short supply these days. So please, look into your heart, put politics aside if you can, and try to think about the children of Gaza and how much they need our love and support, and how little it would take to give something that would mean so much to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person on Zoom, please.
Rebecca, please go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Rebecca Smith. I'm the managing attorney at Legal Services of Northern California. And I'm commenting on item E on the consent calendar. In the city of Arcata.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rebecca, that we aren't at that place right now. We'll be able to do that under the consent calendar, and you could request that that be removed from consent calendar for discussion. No?
No, I think this is the time, respectfully.
This is early oral
It's
communication.
early communication, so we'll have to wait and have that later.
Is there an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items? I understood that this to be the best time to do that.
Not at this point. It would be at the time that they bring up the consent calendar. That would be the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Is there anyone else on Zoom?
Alice, please go ahead.
I would like to say thank you to Sarah Schaefer for sending a letter requesting CalPERS divest from genocide. And I'd like to ask each of you city councilors who have not to do so now. CalPERS is used to provide financial security for state and local public employees. And I admire all companies that are created to take care of others, especially our most vulnerable communities, oftentimes our elders. But we have to look at these institutions with a critical lens and hold them accountable for their actions. Is the company we are using to set up protections for us in our most vulnerable state actively supporting genocide in Palestine and forcing fellow humans into the most horrific and vulnerable state ever known in the history of humanity? Yes, CalPERS is. CalPERS is actively supporting the murder of 30 children a day. CalPERS is participating in the destruction of Palestinian homes with cat bulldozers. CalPERS is using the money we are saving for our retirement to support weapons manufacturing companies who are making the most advanced killing machines and testing them out on Palestinians, ensuring they don't ever get to live to an age where they would have the opportunity to retire. At this moment, our Palestinian friends and families don't even have the opportunity to sleep because of the bombs being constantly dropped all around them. Imagine that, the money California public employees scrimping and saving so hard to get to ensure they have the retirement they have always dreamed of, being used to actively terrorize and destroy every single hope and dream our Palestinian community has ever had. Every single one. This is hypocrisy. The same hypocrisy I see when cities claim they are committed to dismantling the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism, but fail to call out or divest from companies that are actively creating and continuing settler colonialism globally. We must do everything we can.
Thank you very much, Alice, for your comments. I appreciate it. Do we have anyone else on Zoom this evening?
Yes, we have 4 more hands. I understand we have about 4 minutes left, so that'd be 2 more
Okay, why
callers.
don't we go ahead and take our next speaker? We
Okay.
could take 2 more speakers, please.
Okay, Ellen, please go ahead.
Hello, thank you. Yes, I'm also calling to thank Sarah Schaefer for sending the letter to CalPERS demanding that they divest from genocide. I am also asking the rest of you to please send that letter. It's very easy. It's even easier than a sister city, which I'm also in support of. And I would remind you that this letter that we're asking you to send is in alignment with your own investment policy adopted September 18th, 2024. And it is in alignment with the ceasefire resolution that you passed last year. If any public employees are listening, you can follow Divest Humboldt on Instagram. You will find the letter to CalPERS there, and any public employee who is invested in CalPERS can also send this letter to the board of directors. I would like assurances from each of you on the city council that you have sent your letter. It's very easy. We wrote it for you. We have the email address for you to send it to. We even have a suggested subject line. All you have to do is copy, paste, hit send. As Alice explained earlier, this is important because CalPERS is directly invested in companies that are supplying heavy equipment and weapons to the apartheid state of Israel, which is committing genocide in Palestine. This has been determined by international courts, by international humanitarian organizations. This is not controversial. And the people of Arcata do not want to be invested in genocide. I think it's been made very clear to you over the last year and a half that the people of Arcata stand with Palestine, and we do not want genocide being done in our names. So please send your letter to CalPERS. This is millions and millions of dollars we're talking about being invested in the genocidal regime of Israel. And we do not want our city employees investing in genocide. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker, please.
Yes, we have a call-in user on the phone line. Can you try speaking, please? Area code 949, call-in user.
Thank you. The World Court ruling has made boycott, divest, sanction of U.S.-backed Israel the law of the land. A heartfelt thank you to Sarah Schaefer for directing CalPERS to honor this ruling and to become law-abiding. It's also known as BDS. It's how apartheid South Africa was dissolved by the international community so that Black Africans could be recognized as full human beings. Nelson Mandela famously said after having his freedom restored, quote, "Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of Palestinians," end quote. Mandela also famously said that Israel's apartheid was a far more severe form of apartheid. When I have written my Arcata City Council asking if they've complied by advising CalPERS to divest from the crime against humanity that is apartheid, that is the expansionist, settler colonial occupation, ethnic cleansing, which is violent expulsion and genocide, I have received not a single acknowledgement from city council members and only a, quote, forwarding to finance, end quote, from the mayor. Respectfully, then there's a reply from finance that essentially equates to, we'd lose some money if we tell CalPERS to divest from mass murdering on an industrial scale, people in a concentration camp on live stream every day, so we better thuggishly defy the World Court ruling. Then at city council meetings, you all busy yourselves with avoiding complying with the highest court in the land's ruling, which would make a difference in the lives and ecosystems we're watching be sadistically destroyed every day. This to a backdrop of people here being abducted for saying, stop occupation, stop apartheid, stop settler colonial genocide, and ecocide. Just like the highest court in the land also is saying, like international law has always said, including
Thank you,
1948.
thank you very much for your comments. And that'll be the end of oral communications and the beginning of the meeting. And now we'll be going on to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the City Council and are enacted in one motion. Therefore, no separate discussion of any of these items. If discussion is required, that item is to be removed from the consent calendar, considered separately. At the end of the reading of the consent calendar, council members can request that an item be removed for separate discussion. Members of the public may comment on any item remaining on the consent calendar in the comment period before the vote. A, approval to waive reading of text and consent to read by title only for any ordinance on this agenda. B, approve the minutes of the City Council special meeting April 2nd, 2025. C, approve the minutes of the City Council meeting April 2nd, 2025. Bi-weekly report on disbursements. E, adopt ordinance number 1575, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata amending the land use code to update affordable housing zoning and waive reading of text and consent to read by title only. F, adopt ordinance number 1577, an ordinance of the City Council amending Arcata Municipal Code regulations regarding the Board of Appeals. Title II, Administration, Chapter 3, Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Task Force, Articles 5 and 6. G, approve the annual proclamation and recognition of the Two-Spirit Celebration and Appreciation Day in the City of Arcata and add the proclamation to the city-approved list. H, adopt resolution number 245-44 to amend management of confidential class and pay. I, ratify employment agreement with Tabitha Miller for Assistant City Manager. Is there any item on the agenda a council member would like to remove? So I know, so that's what I'm going to go to next. So we'll go to public comment, and we do have somebody on Zoom. I'm sure she'll come back and comment on it. And is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on anything on the consent calendar? I don't see anyone jumping up, so let's see who we have on Zoom.
Yes, Rebecca, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Rebecca Smith. I'm the managing attorney at Legal Services of Northern California, and I'd like to comment on item E on the consent calendar. The City of Arcata's housing element included in its implementation measure number 20, residential rezone and upzone, which contemplated making underutilized properties available for development and specifically to evaluate inclusionary zoning. The city's goal in this program includes to actually produce low and very low income housing on rezoned and upzoned sites. However, the inclusionary zoning ordinance that the city is moving forward with does not adequately meet this purpose because it exempts buildings with 60 units or less. The council was told during the meeting by the Director of Community Development that there are almost no developments of this size in Arcata. Exempting buildings with 60 units or fewer makes the ordinance practically meaningless because the city sees so few projects of this size. Further, something unique to inclusionary zoning is that lower income housing is mixed into buildings and neighborhoods in all parts of town, which does not normally happen and did not happen in the way that the city met much of its low income numbers in this cycle, largely through the home key projects in Valley West, the renovated motels. Much of the city's discussion about the ordinance involved its need for higher income housing based on the current RENA numbers. However, when planning for development and meeting the housing needs of a community, it's important to be thinking into the future because development takes years. And the city is nearing the end of its current housing element cycle and will have new RENA numbers to meet for low income housing. As the council acknowledged, rents in Arcata are high and housing is in demand, so the requirement that this inclusionary zoning ordinance requires 3% very low income or 6 and 10% of low and moderate income is not one that would make or break an otherwise financially feasible project. As it was acknowledged, rentals in Arcata are lucrative and in demand. And to further the city's goals with its housing element, the city should implement an inclusionary zoning ordinance that will actually work to produce mixed income housing in future development and lower the number of units for which the ordinance applies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else on Zoom that would like to speak on the consent calendar?
I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay, thank you. What is the pleasure of the council?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, can I interrupt before? Can it be adopt the consent calendar?
Make a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Is there a second to adopt the consent calendar from a second council member?
I will do that. I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. Okay, next is old business. There isn't any. And then we'll go on to new business. Number A, appoint one member to the Parks and Recreation Committee for a term ending March 30th, 2026. That's our first item on the agenda, and we are going to ask for a staff report, if there is one. There isn't, so what we'll do is we'll open the public hearing if anyone wants to speak on this. Okay, I'm closing it. And what is the decision or the favor of the council on this item?
I was really impressed by Heather. She seems to really want to be involved in the community and already is, and has had, you know, a lot of successes with her work at MPA, it sounded like, working with recreation and working with kids in the community and all that stuff. And she had some really good ideas about bringing some adult rec sports. I don't want to play in the Eureka Volleyball League. I want to play in the Arcata Volleyball League. So I thought that was a great idea too. So I would make a motion to appoint Heather Quarles for a term ending March 31st, 2026 to the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank both applicants because both were really eager to serve their community. So I appreciate both Amber and Heather coming out. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. So with that, may we have a motion to appoint one member to the Parks and Recreation? You did? Okay, I'm sorry, I lost track for a minute. Okay, all those in favor for Heather Quarles?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the public hearing to approve annual engineer's report and declare the city's intention to continue to levy and collect assessments of 3 existing landscape maintenance assessment districts. And so I'll open the public hearing and have a staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and member of the public. The item in front of you is our annual public hearing and approval of the engineer's report for our existing 3 assessment districts so that we could continue to collect assessment on those districts. Currently, on those existing 3 districts, our city staffs provide maintenance, lighting, and landscape services. The purpose of this collecting assessment is so that our staff could continue to provide the services that we are providing. I'll just give you a quick overview of our 3 existing districts. The oldest one is Winsong Village, which is at the James Road and the V Street. That was created in 1995. And that does not have any CIP associated with that. And per parcel assessment is $135. And these assessment values were created at the time when the subdivisions were created, and those were based on the engineer's estimate at that time. But CIP was not included on those, on that district. For the James Creek Meadow district, which is at the St. Louis and Spear Avenue, there are 54 parcels, and that also does not have any CPI, which was created in 2003, and per parcel assessment is $268, and thus does not have CPI. The most recent one is Mad River Parkway Assessment District, which was created in 2013, has 10 parcels, but that does have a CPI, so the assessment value varies on that. So here I'm just like, this is our annual thing, so we cannot make any changes to it, so I'm just here to have a public hearing and approve this so that we can continue to provide the services that we are providing at this district.
Thank you for the staff report. And so now I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
I do have a hand on Zoom. Sarai, please go ahead. Sarai, please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Did you have your hand raised to make public comment on the assessment district's new business item?
No, I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, since there's no one else for public comment, I'll close public comment and come back to the council for a motion or questions. Is there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the annual engineer's report?
I'll read all the things.
Thank you.
Yes, so I will make a motion to adopt the Mad River Parkway Business Center Landscape Maintenance District Resolution Number 245-27, adopt the Janes Creek Meadow Landscape Maintenance Assessment District Resolution Number 245-26, and to adopt the Winsong Landscape Maintenance Assessment District Resolution Number 245-25, and to approve the annual engineer's report.
Is there a second?
And to declare.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you want that part
Keep
too?
going, keep
And to
going.
declare the city's intention to continue to levy and collect assessments of existing assessment districts.
I will second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, may we have a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. So we'll move on now to our next item on the agenda, which is the public hearing to approve annual engineer's report and declare the city's intention to continue to, wait a minute, I already did that one, excuse me. The next is consider approving the project and plans and awarding a contract for the steel water line replacement project to McCullen Construction, Inc. I'm going to open the public hearing and ask for a staff report, please.
Yes, good evening again. The item in front of you is a bid award for our steel waterline replacement project. We have been working on this project for more than 5 years. Initially, when we started this project, the cost of the project was $5 million. However, in the last 5 years, we have identified more locations and the project had expanded. So the cost of project increased to approximately $14 million based on the engineer's estimate. Our initial plan was to fund the project through our city water fund and loan. When we completed our application packet and submitted the application, full complete application to the State Water Board for a loan, based on their funding criteria, we were not eligible. This project was high priority project and we wanted to do it. So our internal city team worked with our finance director and came up with a creative solution to fund the project. So currently this project will be funded combination of city's water fund and borrowing money or loan money from the wastewater fund, which was approved last council meeting. So if the project is awarded today, the construction will begin sometime in May, and the project will be completed in 300 days, we expect, end of next year. As with any of the other projects, we will be making public notifications to people who are impacted with the project, so they are notified of any water disruption that happens, and we'll be working with them. The only one thing I would like to maybe add before you award is, this is a high priority project, and it costs more than $10 million. I just want to give big kudos to the city team. For the project of more than $10 million, city has not worked like internal team. We have always hired consultants to do the work. But on this project, all the work has been done with the city team, planning, environmental services, and engineering, and we will be doing the construction management in-house. So we will not be hiring any consultants to do the work. All the work of this size of project has been done by the city team. So that's a huge for the city. In the past, we used to do this kinds of project. Any project more than $1 million or $5 million, we'll be hiring consultants. But in the last few years, we've been using our city team to do the big level, higher level projects. So big kudos to our city team for that.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom that would like to comment on this item? Is there someone on Zoom?
I do not see any hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. And the council, what is your pleasure?
What?
Go ahead. Go.
I was just going to say, we talked about this a lot at the last meeting and the necessity of doing it. So I'll go ahead and make a motion, and we can, if we want to talk about it more, we can. But I move that we approve the project plans and award a construction contract for the steel water line replacement project to McCullough Construction Incorporated in the amount of $10,793,638.66, and that we authorize the city engineer to increase the contract by up to $795,459.44 for a total amount not to exceed $11,589,098.10 to allow for any unforeseen contingencies or additional work, and that we authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents.
Thank you.
I'll second. We can't wait any longer to get this project underway, and thank
So-
you for all your work.
So thank you all, and we'll call for the vote. To all those in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is consider approving a license agreement with, wait a minute. Public hearing and possible adoption of resolution number 245-42, updating the master fee schedule for fiscal year 2025 and 2026. And I would like to open the public hearing and have a staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This will be fairly quick, but just sort of an overview of the process and procedures for putting together what ends up being about 22 pages worth of fees and charges that we update on an annual basis. We put all those into one consolidated fee schedule. It makes it a little bit easier for folks to find what they're looking for when they're looking to see what something will be charged. And it also helps us organize the time and this process on an annual basis. So we do go through a process of a public notice, a public hearing. We also have a waiting period for those fees to go into effect. Because there's various waiting periods that are typically 30 or 60 days, we kind of try to make it easier for all of us, and we do this early enough in the year that we meet those waiting periods, and then we can make the fees effective on July 1st of 2025, and that also corresponds with the start of our new fiscal year, so it's easier for us. One of the goals in setting our fees is to cover the cost of providing services to the public, and that's no more than it costs, but a reasonable assessment of what it is. And the services that we're talking about are provided for the benefit of individuals, so these aren't services that are generally funded with tax dollars like our police services and things like that. These are specific to the folks that are actually paying the fee. And because of that, they're not considered, they're fees for service and not for taxes. As a general rule, we regularly, and then on intervals, we'll actually go through and calculate the cost. But for consistency and also so that we build in the cost factor, we typically increase fees that are appropriate by the CPIU, and we use the West Urban Consumers context for that. You'll see I've got the calculation here, but between 23 and 24 on an annual basis, that increased 2.8%. So those fees that are allowable or appropriate, for the most part, we increased by that amount between the last year and this coming year's fee schedule. So we do have a few other methods that are interspersed, and I wanted to just make sure that everybody was aware of these. So we've talked a lot about this in the last couple months, but we do have a separate independent fee study for water, wastewater, stormwater at user rates, and those are not being increased at all in the fee schedule this evening. Once in a while we use market rate. Typically this is going to apply to things like facility rentals and potentially recreation programs. We also have some fees and penalties and fines that have to be tied to either federal, state, or regional law. And so those may or may not stay the same, and those are only increased when that is approved by our other agencies. There's a few times too when we might adjust a fee or either more or less than that CPI. One instant in tonight's fee schedule is that we have found that our building fees have dropped below recovery of cost. So we've increased those by the 2.8% CPI plus an extra 2%. That doesn't get us a full cost recovery, but it builds us a little bit closer, and we'll probably gradually build those up until we are at cost recovery. And then there's fees that we consciously subsidize, and typically these are going to be things like youth and family service programs and also economic development. This is, I'm not going to go through these, read through these, but this is a list of the fees that are not increased in your fee schedule this evening. And you'll notice that there are quite a few of those, including business license fees because of the taxes, parking permits, and many of our police department services. This just gives you an overview of the fiscal year 24-25 portion of revenue. You'll notice that the charges for service and license and permits are in black. They make up about 22% of the total $76.2 million that we collect annually citywide. And going to the next chart, you'll notice that of that 22% or 16.9 million, our water and wastewater fees are certainly the biggest piece. It's about 86% of the total. I've got transit here blacked out. I included this because it was there for 24-25, but from a city perspective in 25-26, we will not be collecting those fees or administering them. So they're not included. They're actually blacked out in your fee schedule this evening. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? I'm seeing no one. Is there anyone on Zoom?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you. Then I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the City Council for discussion and decision.
I was just going to say, this is routine. We do it every year. It looks good to me. So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 245-42, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata updating the master fee schedule for various fees and service charges for fiscal year 2025-26.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We'll go on to item E, consider approving a license agreement with Great Redwood Trail Agency for the Arcata Annie and Mary Trail Connectivity Project. And I'll open the public hearing and have staff report, please.
Good evening, council members. Let me just get situated with the next presentation.
You may take your time.
Great. Well, again, good evening. So I'm excited to share an update on the progress of the Arcata Annie and Mary Trail, and especially then leading up to the more of the right-of-way decision that is before you today. But as you recall, the Arcata Annie and Mary Trail is a priority city council project. It has been in our capital improvement project for many years, and the city really got started in interest in 2018 during the planning phase, and we've been working on each phase subsequently from there. And the Annie and Mary Trail is really envisioned to eventually connect Arcata to Blue Lake. So it really has been a regional priority for over 2 decades. For the Arcata portion, the key component that our department is really keeping in mind is that this is a key project to connect the Valley West neighborhood to downtown and Cal Poly, as well as our Aldergrove Business Park to downtown as well. And we'll also provide an access to the Mad River at the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District's Park 1. So here's just an overview of the project area. If you're looking at the screen, there's a solid red line, and that is our existing Humboldt Bay North, which as of the end of June and the county's Humboldt Bay Trail South project, you'll be able to walk, bike, roll from the Arcata Skate Park all the way almost towards Humboldt Hill on a connected regional trail. And so the local jurisdictions, nonprofits, community members have been working on this goal for decades, and it's really coming to fruition. And as a city, our next portion is the Arcata Annie and Mary Trail connecting in our northern neighborhoods. So in the dashed line is this 3.5 mile segment that we're really focused on at this time. And so for this particular project, our key partners are the Great Redwood Trail Agency, Caltrans District 1, because we have especially improvements on the Giantoli Lane overpass over State Route 299, which is an essential component to connecting the Valley West neighborhood to the separated trail, as well as the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District, with whom we're working on an easement for a portion of the trail, and the County of Humboldt. So just to run through again where this trail project will be located, predominantly within the Great Redwood Trail Agency corridor, the rail banked corridor, and also on parcels that the GRTA owns in fee. So it'll go from the skate park north to Cal Poly's new student housing on St. Louis. It will traverse through the Aldergrove and West End Road area, which is much more industrial. It'll provide opportunities for people that work in that area to take non-motorized transportation. And we have been meeting frequently with business owners, property owners in particular in this area to ensure that the trail that we're minimizing potential impacts to adjacent property owners. The trail will also be in much more of a forested canopy parallel to West End Road north of city limits. So these are the different types of experiences people will be able to have on the trail. Again, of looking at improvements on this overpass, which sees frequent walking and biking and will really help connect Valley West to this non-motorized trail. So just for project timeline, where we've been, again, I had said that we started the process in 2018. We have been working in earnest with this particular funding through the Active Transportation Program since 2021. We completed environmental documentation in 2022 and 3. We are in the final stages of our design and right-of-way, or just site control, for locating the trail. And we're looking at going to construction in this fall of 2025 through likely 2026, and maybe into 2027. We are motivated to complete the project, though. So we're currently finalizing designs. Just wanted to acknowledge that. And again, our engineering department is leading the design. So we've been doing a lot of great work, again, in-house, as Netra touched on. And so just to touch on where the trail will be located and the site control for the city to be able to construct, operate, and maintain the trail. The majority of the trail will be located on the Great Redwood Trail Agency rail-banked corridor, which is through city limits, and that will be part of the envisioned Great Redwood Trail corridor between Humboldt and down to the bay. And the trail will also be located on parcels owned in fee by the agency. And we'll talk in a second more about the specific license agreement, but the Great Redwood Trail Agency on April 3rd approved the license agreement that is before you today. The trail will be also located within the city right-of-way and on city properties, in particular around the West End Road trailhead to the Arcata Ridge Trail. As I said, the trail will have improvements, the project will have improvements on the Giantoli overpass, and then we'll have an easement near Park 1. So we're also in the midst of finalizing all of these documentation of right-of-way in order to receive our construction allocation, our construction funding. So for some key terms to highlight in the proposed license agreement is that these terms are very similar to the terms in our existing license agreements for our 2 segments of the Humboldt Bay Trail North. This new license agreement would really document that the city is responsible for maintenance of the trail, its drainage features for this new segment. So that's 3.5 miles. We as environmental services do not take this lightly. We really plan for ensuring that we have enough staff capacity to ensure our continued expectations for trail maintenance and feeling of safety. And we feel with the addition of a facilities crew leader in environmental services that will really help augment that ability for our staff to take on this additional long linear asset. In addition, as the volunteer Reese Hughes spoke earlier in the meeting, the volunteer trail stewards with the Humboldt Trails Council has been essential to the city and other jurisdictions adding new additional miles to our regional trail system. And we hope to work with them to perhaps initiate a new site for this segment to help augment city staff maintenance. Another point just really wanted to bring up is that in separate or different from our existing license agreement, this is a license agreement for a Rail 2 trail, and that really was made possible throughout the hard work of Senator McGuire and the GRTA, and there's a trail removal clause in the license agreement for the very low probability that the Federal Surface Transportation Board would get a petition that someone could run trains again. So I just wanted to point that out. If you're looking, that trail removal clause is in there because the majority is a rail banked corridor. So just for next steps is really tonight to consider approving the license agreement with the Great Redwood Trail Agency. And Great Redwood Trail Agency staff, Hannah, is on Zoom for any questions that you may have. And then some next steps, not at this meeting, but coming up would be really to finalize and codify a public trail easement with the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. We're seeking our construction funding and anticipate being on the calendar for that allocation in June, and then hoping to start construction this fall. Great. Here's a website for more information about the project, and recommend the council really open for public comment and consider approving the license agreement tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you for your staff report. I would like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on this item specifically? And do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, I have one hand raised. Hannah, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Hello and thank you, Council. This is Hannah Barty from the Great Redwood Trail Agency, and just wanted to, on behalf of the Great Redwood Trail Agency, share our appreciation for this opportunity to deepen our partnership with the city through this project. And I'd also like to say, how appropriate that today the Council also recognized Bike Month and National Volunteer Week, two components that are really vital to trails such as the Great Redwood Trail and the section that is the Arcata, Annie, and Mary Trail. With this Arcata, Annie, and Mary Trail completion, once that is complete, there will be more than 18 miles, as Emily was describing, connecting the north part of Arcata all the way down to southern Eureka. And that is just one portion of an entire regional network of trails that will be the Great Redwood Trail, spanning from Humboldt Bay down to San Francisco Bay and providing multi-use, long-distance trail opportunities, as well as everyday outings and active transportation routes for the community. So I really appreciate the city's time and effort on this, and particularly Emily Sinkhorn, Environmental Services Director's professionalism and collaboration on this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else on Zoom?
No, there is not.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing then and move it back to the council. And thank you very much for your presentation. This is going to be exciting to finally have this in place. It's been many years in planning. So yes.
I was just going to say thank you so much for all your hard work and for everybody in the decades that has been working on this. Is really excited. I know Council Member White is not here, but on her behalf, I know how excited she'll be for the Valley West portion connecting North Arcata. So this one's for you, Kimberly.
And just to add, I feel like, we now that all of us have been on council for a while, we see these projects that are like big projects that we've been talking about like the whole time we're on council. So it's really nice to see these really start to move forward with a really exciting and kind of soon timeline. So yeah, I'm really excited to move forward on this.
I am very excited about the Valley West piece. I think it's important to connect that part of Arcata to the main part because we are all one city, so I appreciate that part of it. And as was kind of alluded to before, this has been decades in the making, and I've had the pleasure of speaking to some people just over the years who were like initially the ones wanting to start the Humboldt Bay Trail, and just it was not a popular thing amongst a lot of people. And so there were really some persistent, groundbreaking folks years ago who are not in the room necessarily, who have been working on this. And then as the trail started to come to fruition and people could see the use, it's become popular, and which is great. And I feel like we're pretty fortunate to be on the tail end of it, getting to reap the rewards of all these decades of work. So I just wanted to acknowledge that to all those in the community that have made this happen, including staff. Thank you.
Thank you. May we have a motion, please?
So I'll make a motion to approve a license agreement with the Great Redwood Trail Agency for the Arcata, Annie, and Mary Trail Connectivity Project, and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents.
Is there a second to the motion?
I will second the motion.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Well, let's all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Good job, Emily. Thank you.
And thank you. This will be a wonderful ribbon cutting. So we're going to move on to oral and written communications, which is continued from our 2-minute session earlier in the meeting. The City Council values your comments. The public comment period allows people to address the council on matters not on the agenda. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes each. Please know that pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on the items not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. So at this time, I would like to open the public hearing for oral communications. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Please move forward. Thank you for coming forward. One of you, please.
Good evening, Arcata City Council. My name is Gerardo Hernandez. I'm a proud community member here at Arcata, and I'm also a college student at Cal Poly Humboldt. I am speaking to express my deep concern regarding the recent news of the Trump administration's ongoing efforts to dehumanize and deport undocumented immigrants, often without due process protections that are fundamental to our legal system. The city of Arcata has been recognized for its diversity, inclusion, and progressive values. In 2017, the city of Arcata reaffirmed these values by declaring itself a sanctuary city, an action I commend as both meaningful and morally courageous. However, given the renewed threats to immigrant communities, particularly under harmful federal rhetoric and actions, I believe it is necessary for Arcata to take a stand again. I respectfully urge the Arcata City Council to consider drafting and sending a formal letter to Congressman Jared Huffman and California State Attorney General Rob Bonta. This letter should reaffirm the city's commitment to immigrant rights and specifically call for the protection of due process for all undocumented immigrants. While our sanctuary city designation is a strong starting point, proactive communication with our state and federal leaders will further strengthen our position and support for our undocumented residents in our city and students at Cal Poly Humboldt who face real and growing threats at the current moment. I propose the following key points be included in such letter if it was ever drafted. Number one, a clear affirmation of the importance of due process rights for all individuals regardless of immigration status. Number two, strong opposition to any legislation or executive orders that would limit or deny these protections. Number three, a demand for full transparency and accountability regarding ICE operations, including detention and deportation practices. And finally, number four, an unequivocal stance against the transfer of immigrants to foreign prisons, such as those in El Salvador or U.S. military facilities like Guantanamo Bay, which currently represent a dangerous and dehumanizing precedent in our current administration. This issue is deeply personal to me because not every immigrant is a criminal. My grandparents crossed the border without documentation in pursuit of a better future for my family. And because of their sacrifice, I now stand here today speaking to y'all as a college student on the verge of graduating with my degree in political science. I share this to ask the City Council to generally consider my public comment and the broader impact this issue has on students and families like mine. Thank you for your time, service, and your continued commitment to justice. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Hello, my name's Tricia Murphy, and I'm here to
express my support for a sister city with Gaza. We've been out on the plaza now for probably about 3 months at the Palestinian Talking Corner, which is the closest corner to Brio. And just being out there and seeing the amount of support there is for this in Arcata, I just want to share that with you guys, that probably 9 out of 10 people we talk to are in support of a sister city, and I know that we've got over 1,000 signatures now on our petition. It took, I think when we were trying to get the ceasefire resolution passed, it took 1,500 signatures, and then you guys were good with passing that resolution. Stacy, I know that, or Councilwoman Salazar, I know that you made a reasonable request when we first talked to you about this. You said if we could prove to you that there's support, overwhelming support for this in Arcata, that you would consider changing your mind. And I really appreciate that, and I think that's very reasonable. I never did hear Alex or Meredith Matthews. I didn't hear what your reasons were for not wanting to do a sister city. I wrote you all an email over the past week, and I said, there's polls out, and we now have a majority of people in our country that don't have a good opinion of Israel. And it doesn't mean that all those people want a sister city in Arcata, but there is a majority now in this country that do not support Israel, what they're doing, the way they're carrying out this genocide, and it is a genocide. The International Court has deemed it that, or the ICJ. They're killing about 100 kids a day in Gaza right now. There's been a total siege on Gaza. Gaza is a big open-air prison. Jewish people have referred to it as that, Israeli people. It's an open-air prison, and they're dropping 2,000-pound bombs on the people there. They have no way to leave. But it's a slaughter. It's an ugly slaughter. I watched something really disturbing. A guy named Matthew Hoy said that he'd just recently been to Israel, and they're taking kids out there on field trips to this plateau where they have those viewing things, like when you go to the Niagara Falls or wherever.
Thank you very much. I really
Anyway.
appreciate you coming this evening and speaking.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak at this time at the oral communications? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, Sarai, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarai, and I'm super excited because yesterday I was just named the Poet Laureate of Eureka. So usually I just come, I'm like a concerned community member who's like went to school in Arcata, live in Eureka now, but now I get to say I'm the Poet Laureate of Eureka every time I comment. I'm so excited. But hopefully this is clear. It's been like a long day. I was on campus earlier getting to celebrate the Tonyan Literary Magazine that had come out, the dispatches from the Global Intifada, and then I was able to see some of the awards, the outstanding student awards that were being given on campus, and I was just so happy to see the support for folks who have been involved in major activism against the genocide of Palestinians right now. And I just I have a lot of feelings about that, because when we leave there, when we're in outside spaces, we hear of folks who are fighting against this genocide. We hear about their cars being vandalized. We hear about them being harassed. We hear about all these different kinds of things. So in addition to asking that y'all definitely send your letters to divest from CalPERS and, support a sister city, I also am wanting to know what's being done by the city to support activists that the college is saying are outstanding, that other folks are saying are outstanding. Because we have other situations where folks are trying to do really, really, really awesome active work. And we're running into issues having to kind of backtrack and backpedal because We're having to deal with businesses who have committed crimes. We're having to deal with businesses who are not willing to open up and to accept the type of work that's being done. So like, you know, all of these different things are coming up around how people are celebrated in some spaces and then kind of ignored in other spaces. And at the Poet Laureate, like, it was announced at City Hall last night, and I also got to hear a woman talk about small businesses and the different things that they're expecting with this new things coming up. And they also talked about being worried about like vandalism and different things. And we've heard in other city council meetings that business owners and things have issues with folks who don't have resources, folks who are maybe houseless, utilizing businesses as places to sleep and use the bathroom. And so like my question really, I guess, is like, what responsibility does the city have like in creating these resources and giving these resources to people so that businesses could thrive, so that people who deserve to be in business, people who are great community members, are owning these businesses and are contributing to these businesses and protecting the community members, as opposed to committing crimes against them, where we have to like backtrack and backpedal and try to find other places to hold spaces because community members are committing heinous crimes, right? So I just want to note that ahead of like Reggae on the River coming up, there's all kinds, we're going to have all Black musicians coming and all kinds of wanting to build community. And I'm really just wanting to see.
Thank you. So I would like to thank you so much for your comments this evening. And thank you. Is anyone, another person on Zoom, please?
Yes, Alexis, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your attention and presence this evening. I also would like to voice my support for a sister city in Gaza and encourage all of you council members to write a letter divesting from CalPERS due to their cooperation through money of genocide in Palestine. We are at a critical point right now in history of fighting against fascism in every way we can. And the idea that sending this letter to divest from CalPERS, the idea of that being too much for people to do really breaks my heart. And I also just want to echo the person who spoke earlier about fighting for the rights of immigrants in this country. I came to this college because the College of Cal Poly Humboldt, and now live in this area because my grandpa was a professor in ethnic studies, and I came to this area because of its legacy of social justice. And I would really like to see my city representatives follow through on their commitment to social justice and equality by taking a stand now more than ever. And yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you. Do we have another person on Zoom, please?
Yeah, Mayor Stillman, we have a hand raised, but it's the same phone number that called in for the early oral communications period. I can unmute to see if it's the same speaker.
No, it's the same.
Is it the same speaker?
You could ask. It's the same phone number, and so I think they've already provided comment during early oral communication. So I just remind the caller that you have one opportunity to comment. It's either during early oral for 2 minutes or during the late comment period for 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for oral communications this evening. We don't have any written communications, do we? Okay, without knowing that, we'll go on to council reports. Do we want to start on the right or the left?
I'll make it easy. I have nothing to report out tonight.
Okay. We'll go to...
I have minimal to report. I've been out of town. I've been not in the Arcata realm, but I will tell you that our upcoming RCEA board meeting, so next Thursday at 3:30, it's going to be a special meeting, and it's a study session, and so it's very encouraged that the public attends, and it's going to all be about affordability and how to read your bill and how to understand what a CCA is and how it's impacting your electric bill and how that works with PG&E charges and generation and all of that stuff. And so it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be at the Jefferson Community Center where we used to have our meetings and where our Community Advisory Committee has their meetings. So it's a bit bigger of a space, and so people are really encouraged to come and learn and be involved. So that is next Thursday, the 24th? Yeah. 24th at 3:30, Jefferson Community Center. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you.
All right. So I attended the International Film Festival through Cal Poly Humboldt. They had their not the festival, the launch for the festival. I got to attend that at the Humboldt Del Norte Film Commission office. And it was to launch the April 24th through 27th film festival that'll be taking place here in Arcata at the Minor Theater. So just to encourage people to go out and support that. I also spent some time with, I think Councilmember White was with me when we, and I think, and Mayor Stillman also, we met with some members from a group called Elected Officials to Protect America, and they held several events. There was lots of great conversation regarding the future offshore wind project up here and the development of the heavy lift marine terminal. And I had a chance to talk a little bit with the harbor commissioner that represents our district, which is Stephen Coleman. And so that's the person that we can go to if we want information about that. I mean, we can go to anybody, but he represents our area specifically. So it was nice to touch base and meet him. And I attended the Camawapa Sister City meeting with Councilmember Matthews. Also participated, this was way out of my comfort zone, a fundraiser for the North Coast Repertory Theater and the Transparent Humboldt Coalition. So it was a role-playing game, live. It was super fun. The other elected officials that were there for that evening were Mayor Burgell and Juan Pablo Cervantes. He actually ended up being sick for the event, but was at the rehearsal. So it was fun to get to know colleagues. Yeah, it was good. It was just a big leap for me to be doing improv and role-playing games. I've not done either of those, really. So yeah, it was fun. And then today I attended the Homeless Service Working Group with Mayor Stillman, and I did have a couple notes on that. Did you want me to report out, or would you like to do that? Okay, so just some highlights from that meeting. Jan Carr, one of the founders for Soups On, or also known as the Soup Ladies, was part of that meeting. She was invited to share some of the history of the group, what they're currently offering, and it's well beyond food. And the discussion in the group was how there could be more collaboration between the Soups On folks, the city, and the county. So that was a really beneficial conversation. And then we also heard a presentation from the Department of Health and Human Services just on the continuum of care and how that works, which was very insightful, informative. And that's it for me.
Well, I'll just add to that. Currently, we're seeing quite a reduction in services fees and funding that's coming towards any kind of services for homeless. They've been cut back drastically, just like a lot of other things have been. So that is all I have to say about council reports, actually. And I wanted to move on to future. Does anyone else have anything else to say? Okay, before I go on to dates for future meetings and future agenda items, and I'd like to thank all of you who attended the budget session, and I read that, and I thought you did a great job, and I thank you. And so our next meeting is we're going to confirm a fiscal year 2025-2026 budget session for May 8th, 2025 at 3:30 in the afternoon in the council chambers. Does everyone have that? Okay, the next one is confirm a fiscal year 2025-2026 budget study session for May 14th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Any comments about any of this? Then we'll move on to no closed sessions, no closed session reports, and therefore we are adjourned.